So reevaluation is what we're talking about today. That's what we're talking about. And actually, Kendall, you can skip and go to the reevaluation slide. Yeah, thanks. Um, why is it important for us to reevaluate? I want y'all to answer that question. The answers are there, but I want y'all to answer that question. Why is it important that we reevaluate? Say that again? See if you're effective. To see if we're effective. And sometimes we have to be regenerated and restored. To determine relevance. Okay.
To look back and see what you have done up to that point.
I to check yourself. All right. All right. Kendall, you can go ahead and pull all of the definitions up on that. Yep. So we reevaluate, and just the basic definition of it is to consider something carefully again. To consider something carefully again. So again, we're going to be honest today, right? So if we're honest, some of the stuff that we're reevaluating, we never evaluated to begin with. So we have to start like with that truth, with that foundation of truth. Some of the stuff that we are reevaluating never really were evaluated to begin with. So that means that we're behind. We're a little bit behind. But it's okay. It's okay. We're going to go through the same process to do that. And when I thought to myself, like, where do I see this in the Bible? Because my pastor told me when you talk to church people, you got to tell them where you see it in the Bible. So I said, where do I see this in the Bible? Well, I see it from the beginning. I see it from the beginning. 6 times, God said it was good. Now, reevaluation didn't mean that something was wrong, per se. It was just time to reevaluate. I see it again when God made Adam. And he said, oh, it's not good for man to be alone. You know? And so he said he needs a woman. Amen. And so reevaluation is good. It's good. It's something that we need to do, and it's important. Okay, so we talked about why it's necessary. You can pull that one up. And you guys mentioned some things. But we need to reevaluate if we want to move forward, if we want to make improvements, if we want to make a difference, if we want to expand our territory. Those are all reasons why we need to evaluate. We need to reevaluate to meet the needs of the people. We need to make sure that what we're doing is effective and meet the needs of the people. And one of the things that I really, really like is that it gives us the opportunity as leaders to reflect. Because as leaders, we're standing here and we're sitting there. We're in both places. So it's really important that we recognize that reevaluation is necessary if we want to move forward and if we want to make a difference. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys a whole lot of questions today, so get ready. Go ahead and warn you on that, because one of the things that has been an aha moment for me is that questions are actually more relevant than answers when it comes to leadership. I want y'all to think about that. I want you to think about that. The questions that we ask as leaders are really more important than any answer that we can give to the people who follow us. Once again, I looked to the Bible and I said, where do I see this? I looked at the story about the man at the pool of Bethesda. He was sitting there, waiting for an angel to come stir up the water so that he could jump in and be healed. And then Jesus asked the question. What was the question? Will you be healed? So the next thing the man did, he didn't answer the question. He didn't. He made excuses. He said why. And really the question, Jesus knew the answer. We probably know the answer. If you're sitting at a pool waiting to be healed, the answer is yes, I want to be healed. But the question had to be asked so that the man could start to think about his level of faith. He's sitting there, he's paralyzed. Is he really going to be first in the pool? Because what he was hoping was that the angel would stir up the pool, and the first person that jumped in would be healed. Did he really believe he was going to be first to get in the pool? So just the things, the questions, additional questions that one question brought up inside the man that he had to start considering in order to really test his faith. So the questions that we ask, those are some of the most important things that we can do as leaders. We're trying to give answers when really we just need to ask questions. And so today I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I'm going to ask you to work together in order for us to kind of get to the root cause of why we need, or not the root cause, but just to understand why we need to evaluate and why we need to do this in our ministries in order to be effective as leaders. So my first question, here we go. What are 3 critical questions that you should ask when evaluating? It doesn't even have to be 3, just what do you think, anybody, what is one critical question that you need to ask when you're reevaluating? Why do we do what we do? Good one. What have I done as a leader? How have I supported? How have I helped maybe? What was worked? What hasn't worked? What is the goal? All good questions. All good questions. Some of the questions that I ask is, what are we evaluating? Because when we talk about evaluation, we can literally look at every single thing we do in church, right? So to Pastor Taylor's point, you cannot take on everything. So when you go through the process of reevaluating, you want to know what you're evaluating. What is the target? What is important right now? Because if we just look at everything, we're not going to get anything done. So we need a target. Why does it need to be evaluated? And one thing that we leave out, he's already touched on, is who are the stakeholders? And I know stakeholders is a corporate word. Y'all going to have to give me time to get all the way over to the church side, okay? But who are the stakeholders? Who are we serving? What are their needs? And even within the church, one thing that I found is that sometimes we don't even ask the leader next to us. When we're making changes and we're doing things and it affects somebody else that's doing a job, it's important that we stop and we ask the people that serve with us. If I'm going to change the software that we use to manage our communications for our church, shouldn't I talk to the person who manages the media? If I'm going to change the software that we use to manage our volunteers, shouldn't I talk to the worship pastor? Because they do their worship planning in that system. So really just taking the time to do the work of evaluating, because it is work. It does take time. Sometimes we like to just have a meeting and make a decision. And that's not a good strategy. It's not a good strategy. So we really need to stop and think about the questions that we need to ask. And that's really like on a macro level, because again, there's so many things that we can do and we can reevaluate within a church. My next question: what resources can we use to improve operational efficiency in our ministries? Because now I'm going to take it from a macro level more to a micro level. So what are, like when you think about the resources that are at our disposal to use in order to make things work better, in order for us to serve the people, in order for us to do the ministry that we were called to do? Thoughts? So networking as a resource, okay. Okay. Data. Teamwork, okay. Y'all keep going. I'm just trying to make you think a little bit because it takes thought to really ask the right questions in order to be able to evaluate something. Technology. Technology. Ding, that's one on my list. Technology. Yes. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna give you the three kind of buckets that it falls into. So technology is one, people, people, and processes. Technology, people, and processes. So y'all ready? Y'all ready to get up now? Move a little bit because we're gonna do some work. So I wanted to just kind of lay a little bit of foundation for you on why we need to reevaluate, what reevaluation is, and some of the questions that we should be asking, because I don't want today in this time to just be theoretical. I really want you guys to start doing the work. So what I'm going to ask you to do now, I want you to get in groups, and I want five of you at a table. And if you hear with other church members and you serve on the same teams, try to organize yourself on each table according to the team. For instance, if you are a part of the usher board, you might want to be at one table. If you are a part of the operational team, you might want to be at one table, because I want you guys to actually do some work today on reevaluating. Okay, let's get together. Get together quickly. All right, here you go. I'm giving you guys a folder. You guys are going to use this for your team. There's going to be some information in this folder that you can use on your team. Mm-hmm. Does everybody have a folder? All right, is everybody at the table? Can I get everybody's attention back? Can I get everybody's attention back? All right. Okay. Everybody have a folder. Okay. Yep. Yes. So for anyone who doesn't have a group or a team that's sitting at a table together, this is still going to be fine, because you can use the exercise according to your ministry and the things that you need to address within your ministry. So it's going to be perfectly fine. And then I'm going to also give some more folders here. So, because you might need one. Yeah. There we go. And then I'll get the folder right here. Okay, so there's a sheet in the folder that says evaluating process. And we're going to start there. So y'all listen up so you can have the instructions on what you need to do. Yeah, the process tracker. Everybody has it? Okay, so we all have processes whether we know it or not. Whether we've written them down or not, we all have processes. So what I want you guys to do is just simply identify maybe 2 or 3 processes that you have on your team. So if you're sitting at a table that's mixed and you want to just do it on a church level, that's fine. If you're sitting at a table with your team, what are the processes that you have within your team? And you might have to, it might take a little thought because you might not have any written processes where you can just say, oh yeah, we have this, and this, because you really haven't written anything down, which is an important part of evaluating. We need to start writing things down. That's what the word tells us, right? Write the vision, make it plain, that they will know where they're going, right? we have to write it down. So I need you guys to take a few minutes and just write down some key processes that you have within your ministry. That's just an example. What you see on the page is just an example to show you how to kind of fill out the form. Yeah, you can, whatever the processes are that you want to call out. Yep. Give y'all one more minute. Just need you to do one or two. If you need some help and don't quite understand, processes are repeatable actions that theoretically produce the same results regardless of who does them. Time is going by fast. In your folders, you also have a software tracker. Y'all listen up for 1 second. I'm gonna move you into the next thing. You can continue to work, but you also have a software tracker in your folder. So I want you to do the same thing. I want you to just one or two, because we don't have a lot of time. I usually have a lot more time to do this, but just one or two. Identify some technology, some software that you have in your ministry or on your team, and add it to your software tracker sheet.
Wow.
One, two. We're moving fast. We have to move fast. All right, listen up once again. We're going to shift just a little bit. This is the next thing I need you guys to do. Think about one goal, and we're going to make this more broad so we can kind of do it together because it'll go quicker. So if your table is one church or if your table is multiple churches, do it according to your church. One goal that you have for your church. One goal. So if you're at a different table, if Higher Calling has 3 tables, you're going to have 3 goals. But your table needs to decide on one goal for your church. Write it on the post-it note. Yep, write it on the post-it note. Just one post-it note, one goal. One goal.
Prayer team and deaconess. So we're gonna do a goal for
You're going to do a goal for your church. So we're shifting from the teams. And it's only because we have a limited amount of time. So, guys, let me give a little direction here so we can be on the same page. So, we just did the software. We just did the process, right? That was on a team level because I just wanted to get you thinking about the things that impact your team. So now we're going to shift just a little bit because now we're going to work on a big idea exercise that has to do with your church. So whatever church that you belong to, write down a goal that you have for your church. Write down a goal you have for your church. It's going to all make sense once we pull these pieces together. Just focus on the work right now. Just focus on the work.
Treasure of my soul, I stand in awe of you. As the deer pants for water, so my soul longs for you. Forever and ever, yes. This heart beats for you. As the deer pants for water, so my soul longs for you, Jesus. Forever and ever, yes. This heart beats for you. Something more than gold. I've got something more than gold. Something more than gold. I've got something more than gold. If all I've got is Jesus, I've got something more than gold. I'm screaming to the world that Jesus is more than gold. I've got something more than gold. Jesus, 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 you are more than nothing else matters but you. Jesus, you are more than gold. I have you, I have everything. Hey, more than what money can buy, more than what the world would give, more than everything to Jesus, you mean so much more. That's something more than
Once you have your goal written down, I want you to come place your post-it across this board. Just at the top. Put it all the way to the top for me. Yeah. Hey. Yep. Yep.
All right, all right. Well, we representing the
I'm not a
same
good
church.
drawer. This is my island.
We have several goals.
All right.
Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of old, but I don't move as fast as the rest of them.
Am I waiting on anybody's goal? Do I have all goals? Okay, no problem. 1 minute, sis. 1 minute. Okay, yes, we're gonna come back together now, and I need you guys to answer a question. Need you guys to answer a question for me. Was it a difficult or a long exercise for you to figure out one or two processes or software? No? Okay, not a difficult exercise. Yes, you hear it? All right. All right. So again, I know it's very fast. This is not, it's difficult to get all of this into this amount of time, but I wanted to at least introduce these tools to you because I want you to be able to take this back to your church and actually have a start in doing the work. So each team should know what their processes are. They should know what their software is or technology. And then the one that we didn't get to is the people. That's the other part of it. So again, I know bad words sometimes in church when we talk about job descriptions. It's a bad word. They say it's a corporate thing. It's a kingdom thing. Everything in God's kingdom has order. It has order. And if we cannot tell people what it is that they're being asked to do, how can we expect them to do a good job? So some of our disappointment is really, as leaders, we have to bear that because we haven't prepared them. We haven't equipped them. And so I don't want you guys to look, as we talk about people and assessing people, it's really a sticky thing for church folks because we don't want to fire people. But it's back to it. If their hand is up and they're a willing vessel, we want to find a place for them. We want to give them a place to do the work that God has called them to do. But if they're in a place where they're not effective, where they have no impact, where they may be faithful, these are my pastor's words, but not fruitful. Faithfulness is a prerequisite for leadership. We've made it the bar. It's not a bar. That's like dunking on the 4-foot goal. Faithfulness is a prerequisite. Fruitfulness needs to be the key performance indicator. It needs to be the metrics that we are looking towards. So how do we prepare our leaders to be fruitful? One, we put them in the right place. We put them in the right place. And if we're honest, a lot of people get in these positions because they volunteer, which is great. We love volunteers, but we lose volunteers because we have them in the wrong place. We lose church members because they're in the wrong place, because they feel like they're coming to a second job. Can we be real? They feel like they're coming to a second job. So if we put people where they belong, there's something in your folder that I'm going to let you take back to your church. It's called the skills market. It's an exercise that you can use to identify the skills that the people that you have that have volunteered have. And that way you can use the information. Be here now, be here now, be here now. We can use those tools to help position people in the right space. Okay? So the three things are necessary. So So we had you go through a list of technology resources, had you go through a list, begin to think about process as a resource. Process. Then people. The process tells us how to repeat something, how to get an effective system in place so that we can have the same experience. We don't want Brother Smith feeling good about his new member experience and Sister Sherry feeling bad about it because they had two totally different experiences. Because you know what that does to a person? They say, why they don't like me? Why didn't they do that for me? They take it personal. So our processes help to drive our execution of the experience that we want people to have when they come to our church. So it's important. Processes are important. People are important. We cannot forget about the people, but we have to equip the people. We want the people to volunteer, but then we give them a blank sheet of paper. Now, God is going to send us some people who have some new things, and they're going to bring, God has anointed them to build a foundation for something. You're going to have those people. But you have people that God has just made willing vessels. And they can be used, but we got to help them. We got to help them. We can't just give them a blank sheet of paper. Give them some direction. Give them some technology to use to help to execute the process. Right? So all of these three things, they have to work together. And we have to know the importance of the two, or three, excuse me. So that's a micro thing. We have to start getting to that micro level in each area of our church. We have to start doing this work on each area of our church if we want to evaluate. One of the things, and Kendall, I'm sorry, my slides, we're just going to talk now, okay? What's the use of moving forward only knowing that you don't have a firm foundation? Why should you move forward? We're building. I told you guys this at my house. We had some issues at the beginning with the water line. The plumber kept coming out, putting the water line, kept breaking, kept failing. It would make no sense for us to go ahead and go to the next phase knowing that that wasn't fixed. And with each phase that we've gone through with our house, there's been an inspection to ensure that the foundation was firm, that the framework of the house, the roof, I think we had the installation inspection just the other day. So with every phase, there was an evaluation to make sure that we were good to move forward. Because we already talked about we don't have time. So why do we have time to move forward on a shaky foundation? You know what the answer is? It's okay to start over. That's the subtitle of this workshop. It's okay to hit restart. So this last exercise that we're going to do, you guys have put, and I'm not a good drawer. I usually have somebody that can draw to come up here and do this. This is a ship, in case you didn't notice. It's a wumpy ship, but it's a ship, okay? And it has an anchor. It has an anchor. I'm sorry. I usually let somebody that can draw better than me do this. I should have. Bishop drew it the last time for me, so. But it has a sail, and this is the island, okay? So you guys have told me what your goals are in your ministries. So now I want you to take the Post-it notes and just we have a lot of people, so if you just write one thing, it's fine. I want you to write something that's moving us forward towards our goals, and something that's holding us down. So whatever you wrote down as your goal, you need to put on another Post-it note, something that's moving us forward and something that's holding us down. What's dragging us? That's slide 16, Kendall. It's called the problem framer. And whenever you wrote your one thing down, whatever moving us forward is going to go on the sail, and what's holding us back is going to go on the anchor. Anchor is what's holding us down. Sail is what's moving us forward. Mm-hmm. Forward. What's moving us forward goes on the sail. What's holding us down goes on the anchor. Moving us forward, holding us back.
Oh, it's two separate.
Mm-hmm. Write it down. You got to write it in two separate ones. Holding us, moving us forward, holding us down. Make sure you have two Post-it notes. One for what's moving us forward, one for what's holding us back. One is moving us forward, it's going on the sail. The other one is the anchor, it's what's holding us down. Mm-hmm. Sail forward, anchor, holding us down. Everybody should be coming with their Post-its at this time.
I got it the wrong way.
Got it, sis? All right.
What goes on top? Forward.
Forward, holding us down. Mm-hmm. That's what's holding us down. Has everybody brought their Post-it? I'm going to wrap this up because my time is up. All right, let's come back, everybody. That's the thing that happens with activity. Let's come back. Let's come back. Let's come back. All right. So hopefully this is a good tool for you to use at your church. And so I wanted to tell you how to continue this process at your church. And I'm learning how to get this done in an hour, so. But the next step, if we look at these things that are on the boat here, whether it's at the top or at the bottom, when we look at what's holding us back, because when we are trying to solve the problem to reach the goal, we focus here, right? These things, we need to know these things because we need to continue to do those things. We need to make sure that we're cultivating these things, that we're continuing to make sure that those things that move us forward are taken care of, because when we start neglecting these things end up down here, right? But we know that these things are holding us back right now. So a lot of times what we do, and I see this here, and it's just human nature, we say, we don't have this, we need this, we don't have this. And our challenge is to take those statements and turn them around into how might we statements. So instead of saying, we don't have any young people at our church, we would take that and say, how might we develop a program that will attract more young people? Because how many of you know perspective is everything? You know, sometimes we get stuck on just the problem because we're focused on the problem and not the solution. And I know we hear that a lot, but it's so basic, but it's so common. It's so common. So in those folders, and Ernisha, if you could help me, that the scan, the QR code, if you guys want these tools and these instructions on how to do these exercises, it's gonna, yeah, you can take it out and put it on each table. Just scan that. Take it with you if you need to, and it'll be in a folder, and you can have access to it. So what you need to do in your local church is, if you have something, a problem that you're trying to solve, this is an awesome tool. It's an awesome tool for us to use to identify what the goal is, because sometimes we don't even know what the goal is. Like Pastor Taylor talked about, we need to know what our goal is, and then we can look at what are the things that we're doing well as we go through evaluation. What are the things that we are doing well that are moving us forward? And if you see, typically, I let people write as many as they want, and you will see that this bottom usually is at least twice what's at the top. And if you have twice as much holding you down as what's moving you forward, that's not a winning strategy. So we have to move some of those things and bring some of those things up. And we do that by grouping them together. So that's the next step, is we would take these things. If you were doing this for your specific church, for one specific goal, you would take those things, group them. You would then be able to, actually before you group them, you would let people vote and say, I agree with that, I agree with that. And then you're going to see how many of those things that are holding you back get how many votes. And you know that there's agreement and that people are seeing the same thing, so you know what to prioritize. So you do that, you group them together, and then you begin to write those how might we statements so that you have something to then begin to aim towards, right? So an evaluation tool, a really high-level evaluation tool where you can use it for any goal that you have in your ministry. Well, I appreciate you guys for playing with me today and being a part of this. And as I was trying to pack up my bags last night to get ready for this morning, because I knew those hours were going to come earlier than I wanted them to, I ran into a folder because I was looking for a sleeve to put my stuff in. And I ran into a quote that I printed for my sister when she was remodeling her office. And the quote is by Bella Lewitsky, and it says, to move freely, you must be deeply rooted. To move freely, you must be deeply rooted. And so for me, when God gave me this directive, really to take what I do in business and do it in church, the name that he gave me was Rooted. So my program is called Rooted. And when I read this, I thought about Freedom Fellowship. I thought about our mission, which is simply to lead people to freedom. And I thought about the things that it takes for us to be rooted and setting a firm foundation. And if in the beginning, God reevaluated, shouldn't that be a part of the firm foundation that we have in our ministries? If from the beginning he felt like it was necessary to do that. And I know that my heart, even in shifting towards this, has been about the leaders, the volunteers. Really placed a burden on my heart to really focus on the impact that when we don't support our leaders, what it has on them, not just physically, but spiritually. So it was really a concern for me and something that I felt like God was calling me to be a voice for and to really say, you know, we have to be rooted in some stuff. We have to get the foundation right. And it's okay if it's not right, but don't keep walking on shaky ground. Break that stuff up and start over. You know, we talked about people a little while ago. Sometimes it's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing to move around is people, right? Because there's feelings involved on both sides of the fence. But, and I'm sorry, y'all gonna have to get all these examples from my construction project, but me and my niece Autumn did a DIY project. We're building a big, huge mirror to go in my bathroom. And it had all these little pieces that we were putting together so that we could place the mirrors in each square. And as the night got on, we obviously got tired because I could see the difference the next morning in what it looked like when we started and we were full of energy and all of that, and then what it looked like when we started getting ready to go. And at the end of that night, we saw some things that weren't quite right, and we were able to move them because it hadn't quite settled in yet. But by the next morning, the stuff that wasn't right, I had to take a jigsaw and get up under it in order to get it out. And so, you know, it was another aha moment for me as I was thinking about this topic and evaluating and firm foundation and being rooted. Don't leave stuff that you know not right there too long. Because it's going to take up more than what you bargained for. Don't leave it there too long. If you need to start over, start over. Don't leave it there too long. I tried to take up this one piece, the wood started splitting, you know, stuff started happening that I didn't intend to break. But it was because I didn't move that piece while it was still pliable. God wants us to move freely. He called us to freedom. The foundation is what needs to be firm. We don't want to be able to move the foundation, but we want it built on the right thing so that we can move freely. I want the people of God, I want the leaders to feel free. I want you to come to serve and do it freely, do it willingly, do it happy, do it with joy. I want you to feel that freedom. I want that for you. God wants that for you. So build your house on a firm foundation. Evaluate. Don't let stuff stick there too long that's not supposed to be there. Don't keep moving forward when you know you need to turn around. Don't do that, because if you know it's going to break soon, you just wasted some more years, some more time, some more money. Do the hard work of evaluating, from the technology that you use in your ministries to the people that serve in your ministries and the positions that they hold. We want them to serve, but let's move them to the right place. Let's not lift up faithfulness like it's the bar. That's the prerequisite. If you're going to be a part of my team, you're going to need to be faithful. You're not going to be a part of my organization if you're not faithful. So we don't even That's the bottom. Let's be fruitful. Let's not do activity with no impact. Let's not just be doing stuff just to be doing it. And the way that we get to that is through evaluation and reevaluation. God bless.